Hey, what is going on, guys? This is going to be my out-of-box review here for the RE100 Nightingale, the very first in the RE100 line. We're going way back here, and honestly, in this review, there's not really a whole lot to say about this. The Nightingale really doesn't do a whole lot, but just stand there. But we'll take a look at everything. If you didn't see my live build of this, I built this up live over the course of 2 different live streams because it took a little while to build it all. That was on YouTube and Twitch, so you can check that out if you want. And as always, a huge thank you to SA Gundam Store for making this review possible. This wasn't necessarily a model that I ever really planned on getting, but I had a really good idea for another video that I want to make using this model, so that'll be coming up in the near future. But before we get to that, I thought, of course, need to do a proper review of this. Now, I can't spin it around on my rotating base that you guys usually see in my reviews here, so I'll just kind of move it around and give you guys a look just around the kit as it is. But yeah, if you've ever built any of the RE100 kits or you're familiar with the line at all, you know that they're relatively simple in their construction. They're basically like big 1/100 scale versions of high grades. Now this one is the same in terms of its general construction. It's sort of like a high grade, but it definitely has a lot of parts just because it's such a big and complex design. So it has tons and tons of thruster bells and then all those little detail parts and things like that. So the color separation on everything, I mean, it does look pretty good. It's pretty well color separated just straight out of the box without doing anything to it. There is going to be some seam lines, and you'll notice a general lack of too much detail on this kit. It's definitely got some detail, but there are plenty of wide open spaces where you could go in and add some more detail if you wanted to, add some extra panel lines to kind of break it up, or just detail it up with some painting, adding some camouflage patterns or something like that could be an option. So while we're here, before we get into the accessories, why don't we just go through the articulation first, because this kit is pretty big and cumbersome and it's going to be kind of hard to show you what little articulation there is. And it's not really going to be a whole lot that you can really do a whole lot with. I mean, a lot of things do move, but ultimately not really going to be of much use. Now, we'll start here at the head. The head can basically just rotate a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, and that's pretty much it. It doesn't move up and down or anything at all. Now, that said, this section does pop out, and you can put an LED unit in here. So there, if you put that in, there's a clear piece that pipes up through the neck and then out to the mono eye there. So you can light up the mono eye, although it's going to be pretty hard to see. As you can see, it's pretty well covered. But if you remove this bit on the head, you'll see there is a little green sticker on there, so you can remove that if you wanted to do that. Otherwise, the LED light, of course, is going to be blocked. You can also rotate the mono eye to the left or the right. Rotating it to the side would probably be the best way to show it off if you were going to have it lit up, because at the front, the gap is so small. But if you have it pointing off to the side, then you can actually see it a little bit better. And it's nice that this section is just really easy to remove. You just pop that out of the torso there. Simple enough. Now these shoulder bits on here don't actually move at all, but I found in the construction there's like a kind of square tab that you use to plug them into there. I figure if you cut off that square tab, you can probably rotate these a little bit up and down, but not really all that much. It really wouldn't be too worth it, I don't think. As for the shoulder, it's just plugged in via a straight peg, and there's no movement forward, back, up and down or anything like that. So you can rotate the arm up to about there, about 90 degrees perpendicular to the body, and then down to about there when it's just crashing into the legs and the skirting armor and things like that. And then of course you can rotate the arm here above the elbow. You got a single joint in the elbow that will give you probably less than 90 degrees there. And then the wrist is just on a ball joint there. But we have these fully articulated like MG style hands. Kind of weird. I think just regular fixed pose hands would have been much better. What I'll probably end up doing is swapping them out for some of these HD builders parts here. These are 1/100 scale MS hand 02. These are Xeon style, just fixed pose hands. And it may come as a bit of a surprise, but there is actually a little bit of movement here in the stomach section. You can rotate that ever so slightly side to side, but that is going to be about it. And I found it interesting while building it that it doesn't have the cannon there in the stomach like the SDCS version does have. It's not really anything in there, but these front skirt sections can move up and down. If you look underneath the front skirt, you can see the detail is molded in there for the subarm. This is supposed to have subarms up underneath the front skirts that will like fold out, whatever, to hold beam saber or whatever like that. So that's not actually functional though. It really would have been cool. If this was, of course, a proper master grade, it would have that. But it definitely would have added to the complexity of this part and the cost of the kit overall. So you can paint that, but it's just going to be hidden up underneath there and it's never really going to be seen anyway. I'm not sure if there's some sort of resin conversion kit for this like there is for the Neo Xeon kit, but if there is, let me know and I'll maybe look into that. Then we have, of course, this massive dong piece in the front, which doesn't move or anything, it's just kind of stuck there. I should also mention that here on the back side of the arm, if you pull out this little tab here, that is where the shield is going to plug into, and that is on the left and the right side, so you could, in theory, plug the shield onto either side. This side skirt armor here can move forward and back, up and down, just kind of all around out of the way, but it really doesn't need to go anywhere, so it's not really of too much use. The back skirt as well can actually move up and down a little bit, but again, not really going to be too much of use for that, because this thing is just basically going to be forever just standing on the ground, and so it's just going to be stuck there like that. Same with this little leg here at the back, a little bit of articulation here, but it doesn't really serve too much purpose really in the long run. Unfortunately, it can't be completely folded up for like perfect storage. If you were going to have this in some sort of flying position, you'll basically just have to omit this part or modify it in some way to look like it's totally folded up. But of course, you got your fuel tanks up underneath there, and we'll take a moment here to look up underneath the giant wing binders here as well, as you've just got tons of these little thruster bells. And it's nice that these are all separate parts. So you have, of course, the gray outer part and the yellow inner part for all of these. So it makes it a lot of parts to work with to build, but it does mean that painting those is going to be very easy, as they're just separate parts. You don't have to worry about masking anything. And as for the articulation of these, they don't actually have any articulation at all. You can't move them anyway, and they're actually supposed to plug in at a certain angle so that they're fixed like that. If you try to plug them in at any other different angle, they won't plug in all the way, and they'll just be kind of resting there loosely. Moving down here to the hips, basically you can just rotate the leg forward and back a little bit. It can come forward just so much like that, and you can kind of bring that out to the side a little bit as well, but the weight of that, I think, is just going to weigh that down, and it's not really going to stay out there very well. You can rotate the leg here at the top of the thigh, but you can also rotate it below the knee as well. The knee bend, like the elbow, is going to give you just probably less than 90 degrees, but you do have a little bit of a bend there. And just make it easier for the ankle here, that can bend a little bit side to side, but actually the toes, the side toes, I should say, only can move up and down a little bit like that, which is pretty cool. The front one doesn't move at all, it's just connected to the foot as a whole, so you can point the whole thing down to there, up to there. So if you were able to get this in some sort of aerial pose, the ankle is not too bad for it to show off some sort of flying pose like that. It's actually pretty cool, and a lot of really nice detail up underneath there, but it's just all molded in red. But it is a separate piece for the bottom of these, so painting those in just a gray or whatever, it will be easy enough. Now let's talk about accessories. The first thing here is his gigantic shield. It looks very similar to the Sazabi's shield. Got some nice little color separation with the little gray parts in there for the vents. On the back side, you have the gray parts for the missiles there, this connection where it connects onto the arm, and then of course our beam axe is here as well. Pull that out, this can just be held in the hand, and then we have our effect parts for this taken from the Shinanju, actually. So all these effect parts are really nice. You have one long and one short effect part. It really would have been nice if they would have given us two of this runner so that we could have two long or two short. And then you do also have just the regular straight one, which you can plug there in the center as well, like that, for the full effect. But yeah, then that can just be plugged into the back of the arm like that. Yeah, it's solid enough, but again, with a big giant shield that plugs onto the back of the arm, there's not really going to be a whole lot really that you can do with that, except just kind of have it hanging off to the side there. Then of course the main weapon here is this gigantic beam rifle. Now this thing is taller than the Nightingale itself, and it does have this bipod here on the front, but again, it's not actually functional, it's just there. You could rotate it down like that, but the legs of it don't spread out to form an actual bipod or anything. We do have another sticker here for the camera on the beam rifle, but I'm going to stick this into the hand here because I've got some serious doubts that this thing is going to actually be able to really do much with this, except like with the shield, basically just kind of have it resting there, probably with the barrel resting on the ground. And yeah, as I expected, first of all, it's just kind of hard to get it to grip the rifle just because the whole rifle and the arm just kind of clashing there. And then you can kind of get it to hold up. I think like the weight could hold it up, but the problem is with the wrist. You can see it just is gonna flop down like that. So basically you just kind of have to set this in a way that it's just kind of like resting on the ground or something. So basically something like this, and yeah, not really going to be the most exciting thing in the world. Oh, and also forgot that it does also come with this sheet of stickers as well. I haven't used them, but I mean, anything on other than white plastic, these aren't really going to look all that good, but if you really wanted to add a couple markings on there, some pretty cool ones. And just to give you guys a comparison to a standard size 1/100 scale mobile suit, there it is compared with the Power Gym. And yeah, obviously, of course, this is going to be very, very huge. And so that's going to pretty much do it for the review. The beam axe as well, also kind of hard to hold in really any other position except for this one here, just because of the shape of everything, how you just have the beam effect parts and the base of the handle of that just kind of bumping into the forearm and things, so it's just kind of really hard to do a whole lot with that. And so like I said at the very beginning of the review, there's just not really a whole lot to say about this, because there's just not really a whole lot that this thing can do. It just is. It's there. It's a giant 1/100 scale Nightingale. And yeah, I think could this have been better if it was a master grade? Of course, but it definitely would have been around the 15,000 price tag range, something like that, I guess. Probably somewhere around there, probably close to the Deep Striker, around there in terms of the price for this, because it just would have been so massive. And just imagine how much more heavy this would be if it actually had a full inner frame in there. And of course it would have been more awesome just to have so much more of the gimmicks built in there with it being a proper master grade. That would have been really cool, but it just would have been much more expensive and much more heavy. And so it's kind of pros and cons, I guess. If you're a really big fan of the design, you know, then go for it. There's obviously ways that you could improve it if you really wanted to, if you're really up for the challenge. Otherwise, if you wanted something cheaper but still really cool, I actually really like the SD Cross Silhouette Nightingale. It's a really nice kit, much cheaper, of course. Different proportions as it is the SD proportions on that, but probably better articulation. You can actually get it into some cool poses and stuff, so that's cool. It is going to have hollow spaces in certain areas with it being an SD kit, but I think just overall the SD kit is probably a lot more enjoyable experience. This is just for people who are really big fans of this particular mobile suit, just wanting something really big to work on, and maybe don't want to go quite as big as getting like the Neo Young or something like that. But let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. If you do have any other questions, feel free to leave those there as well. And again, thank you to USA Gundam Store for sponsoring this review. I think you guys will see this kit again pretty soon in the near future, so look forward to that. In the meantime, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you're all having a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Hey! Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, if you want to check the kit out for yourself, you can head over to USA Gundam Store, use that coupon code ZakuAurelius10, save yourself 10%. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye bye.